afternoon and welcome to another edition of Northport, A View from Here. My name is Gene Matthews and I'll be your host today. Today we're going to be talking about budgets and items on the budget, maybe not dollars and cents all the way around, but certainly new items on the budgets. And we're going to start off with the police department, the utility department, and the fire department in our first segment. So we have a number of people here. First I'd like to introduce Captain Kevin Vespia. And of course Cindy Mick is here, and Bill Taaffe from the fire department. And we're going to start off with you, Captain. The current chief is retiring. Billy, is there any comment you'd like to make about that?
Certainly. Billy has certainly been an instrumental part of the police department as far as the operations of such police department. He has contributed a lot of information, a lot of technology, and has been through quite a bit as far as changeovers with the staffing. Mm-hmm. And he's always been there for his troops and the members of the police department. He will certainly be missed. After serving 28 years of service, he will definitely be missed. I got to serve with him when I first started as a patrolman, and I worked my way up through the ranks, up to finally an administrator, where I happened to serve directly beside him. And he has taught me quite a bit, and I hope to carry on that tradition that he left with us. Yeah,
Billy Culligan and I served on the volunteer fire department back in 1973, 74, something like that. So I've known Billy a long time, and he's been a good trooper.
He will certainly be missed.
Okay. Some of the police technology is always moving forward. New systems, new things you have to watch out for, new threats. What are some of the new things on the horizon for the city of Northport this coming year and the years after?
One of the technology advancements we're putting in place this year is called the mobile field reporting for our units in the field. This will allow them the capability of completing their police reports in the cars wirelessly and get transmitted to the police department. It alleviates the need to print them out. In addition to that, we have what they call Police to Citizen software, where the community will be able to obtain a copy of their reports 24/7 through the internet. So we're excited about that, to get that implemented.
You know, you see traditionally the biggest complaint police officers has filling out reports. So what are you saying? You're doing away with that?
Well, how the system is designed to work is upon receiving a call for service in their vehicle, that information that's already taken by dispatcher will automatically be populated into the report form, so it doesn't have to be retyped. Mm-hmm. The officer adds his notes, sends it to the supervisor approves it, and it gets put right into records management, where the records personnel will no longer have to do data entry. Their job will switch to quality assurance.
Okay, and any other new things that you're going to be stressing? Of course, safety in the school for kids, and child molestation and things like that. What are we doing about things of that nature?
As far as safety issues, we are purchasing a traffic safety trailer this year. And that'll be placed in your school zones and those areas of concern, such as neighborhoods where the require complaints of speeders, which we have often. That's something that'll be used for. School zones will also be patrolled by our neighborhood stabilization unit with that advanced personnel. And in addition to that, our sex offenders we check monthly, and we're going to continue to do that on a monthly basis.
Yeah, is there any ongoing patrol, looking for cars that don't belong there and things of this nature, suspicious type activity around the schools?
Absolutely. We have our school resource officers assigned to each school, with the exception of the elementary, who has a school resource officer floating between, and they actually teach the DARE class inside the school campuses. But absolutely, our school resource officers are always looking for potential suspects.
Because it seems to be becoming more and more of a national problem, and certainly with all our rural or semi-rural areas, the opportunity for that kind of activity is really high, so we're counting on you.
We'll do our best.
Okay. And Cindy Mick, who is our utility director. Cindy, what's in store for us for 2006-2007 budget year?
We have a lot of exciting projects for the 2008, 7 and 8 fiscal years. Along with Captain Vespia and the fire department, we're going to continue our outreach to the community. We have a lot of exciting programs for the schools, a lot having to do with water conservation. In addition, we have complementary to the successful bond referendum that'll allow us to expand the wastewater program. We have a lot of exciting projects with regard to the expansion of our drinking water system. One is the utilization of the canal system and the cocoa plum to its fullest potential. We did receive a grant which will enable us to do a intake structure along the cocoa plum, which will allow us to utilize the cocoa plum as an additional water supply. A lot of our projects are geared toward helping the fire department with fire flow and pressures of our water treatment system. So we're going to be building a new booster pump station, storage tank out at the northeast booster pump station located at Haberland Boulevard, which will help increase our pressures and our fire flow potential in the eastern portion of town.
They used to build towers to do this, water towers. They no longer do this?
Some do. The higher towers we've chosen to use ground storage tanks. This tank that we're going to be building next year will be a 2 million gallon a day tank, and it's an exciting project and will help with the fire flow.
You know, the amount of water that's available to the city has always been a question. It's always been brought up on all types of things, especially between the county and the city. What do you expect from cocoa plum?
We anticipate actually being able to withdraw millions of gallons from the cocoa plum per day, and that would be with the more efficient use of our canal system throughout the city, but we need to study that, especially the water quality aspects.
Yeah, and I live on Blue Ridge Lakes, which of course is all part of that cocoa plum system. And
Correct.
So,
that'll be good.
okay. Mr. Taaffe, Chief Taaffe, how are you?
Doing great, Gene.
Okay,
Yourself?
and what new things can we look forward to from the fire department this year, coming year?
I think two important things for our citizens right now is the simple fact we'd like them to contact their insurance companies. During the past year, the fire department was re-rated by the Insurance Services Organization, which places the fire risk analysis on our community. We were glad to receive notification that our rating had improved from a Class 4 to a Class 2 in some areas of the city, and from a Class 9 to what's called an 8B in some areas of our city. This is dramatic for a fire department. There are only 1% of the United States that hold a Class 1 or 2 rating. So we're very happy to receive that. But more so, it means a savings in insurance to our citizens, somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from $150 to $300, $400 per home per year. So that's a huge thing for us to let our citizens know to contact their insurance companies and see if they're available to get a reduction or shop around to a company that will give them one.
And a reduction also sometimes enables someone to get insurance where they couldn't before.
Where they couldn't before, exactly, and you and I have talked about that on previous shows. And in doing so, we've also been able to maintain our budget without having to do a district assessment increase. So that's been a big portion of putting together this year's budget.
Okay, and how about stations?
We are in the process of building a new station out at Haberland next to the water plant site.
You know,
that
every
we
time
talked
I
about.
drive out in that area out there, something new is popping up all the time. I didn't even realize you had that big facility out there.
Yeah,
And his is coming on board out there.
that's correct. It's coming up out of the ground, and we're also looking at opening a 5th fire station out near Biscayne Boulevard on the east end of, or the west end of the city.
Yeah, and you're going to be stationing ambulances at all these sites?
Right now, ambulances at all of them, yes.
And what's your anticipated, once you get the 5th station, and what's the anticipated per resident response time?
We're hoping to get that response time in the 4 to 5 minute range.
And that's for fire, both fire and ambulance?
And ambulance, yes, throughout the city.
I think that's marvelous.
Thank you.
And probably it's the best system in the county.
Well, it's getting there.
Good, good. And that's all you're going to do this year?
Oh, absolutely not, no. One of the bigger things
Don't
that we're
mind me.
going to move forward to is an emergency management coordinator this year. As you know, the fire chief also serves as the emergency manager for the city for hurricanes, disasters. You and Chuck Johnston and I have talked about disaster preparedness before. And this year we're going to bring in a coordinator to help our city plan as it grows for the future needs for our citizens in the event of a disaster striking our community.
Okay. You didn't get the word there's not going to be any more hurricanes.
I
So don't
certainly hope
worry
not.
about it. Get them anyway, and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
We really do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Mayaka. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit, and you'll see a lot more.
Welcome back to the second segment. We have with us Bill Ward from Parks and Recreation, and we have Patrick Collins from Engineering. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, another budget year, and now we're preparing some exciting programs for next year for the upcoming budget year. How about on Parks and Rec, the agreement that's been thrashed out between the city and the county? What's involved with that, so people have a clear understanding of that?
Well, the two vice commissioners got together back in the spring to negotiate a new interlocal. There had been a lot of issues that need to be clarified, especially with level of service and some of the capital projects that we're involved in. So they came up with some statements of principle that we staff got together and put together some language in there, and we came up with a new interlocal that basically clarified all that for us, so that we were able to function as separate entities and still have an understanding of who's responsible for what. That was renegotiated back in June, and as it came out, the city was able to regain control of their neighborhood parks and then the George Mellon Center. So I accordingly budgeted for that to take place here in this new fiscal year. Sarasota County still retains all of the athletic complexes in the city of Northport and will maintain and operate those facilities under that new interlocal agreement.
As the city grows, of course, there's a great deal of increase in those usage. Does the revenue from the county for maintaining those, is there an increasing scale on that?
No, the revenue basically is, all my operating budget really comes from ad valorem. So the revenue that we would get would be generated through our own programming, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the tax base is concerned, we certainly send that back up to Sarasota County, but that essentially is somewhat returned in the maintenance of the athletic facilities.
Because you know, years ago there was a dual taxation suit between all the cities and the county, and that's how this agreement originally got penned. And I was hopeful that there was a scale that you know, continued with that particular project.
No, that's...
Well, maybe we can work something out in the future. What are some of the other projects coming up? I know that the Garden of Five Senses was just in the paper recently,
Yes,
and that seems to be coming along.
Yep, we just awarded the contract to a general contractor, so we should be under construction probably early next month at the very latest anyway. And we should have about 6 months of construction. We're very excited about that project. That is going to be neat. It's a sensory garden, something that was came about when Gene Brun was president of the Parks Advisory Board, and we are now bringing that to fruition, and it's going to be a neat facility. Phase 1 is just a sensory garden, but essentially we're going to have some walking trails and maybe even a natural bermed amphitheater built in that park.
Is there anything you know, similar to that in, you know, a 25-mile radius, or?
Selby Gardens, something similar in...
Well, I would expect it at Selby, but not in the general population, you know, among the general population, or even conceived by a local city.
Right. Now, this is a very unique facility and park project, and once it's built, I think it's going to be quite a distinctive park that we're going to be able to attract a lot of people, not only in our local community, but certainly regional. So, and we hope to do so. It's going to be a neat facility.
Well, I hope you can duplicate a Selby Garden, because theirs is a tremendous thing. How about some of the other sports complexes? I know we have a new soccer fields opened up at, over by the Glen Ellen.
Yes, very proud of that. They're actively playing in that facility now. We do have a community park under design right now, which is essentially going to be a Little League complex We should have that completed as far as civil engineering probably in next spring.
And where was that going to be?
That's going to be out about 3 miles east of Toledo Blade off Price Boulevard. It's where the next elementary school is going.
Oh, okay, great.
Which is coming online, I think, August of 2009. We should be a little bit ahead of that project. But that's going to be neat, and that's going to be able to accommodate the need for a little.
Is it going to be a joint venture between the city and the school board? You know, use same parking lots, you know, on the weekend and
Yes.
things of that nature?
Yeah, there's going to be some joint venture there, so we can take care of their overflow and vice versa, and we might be able to use their open play space, and some of their classrooms for some programs we might want to put
It's a
in
good
there.
use of tax dollars.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
there's no sense each one building it,
Indeed.
you know, and we can share 'em. What else? It's got to be more.
Well, we just
We
got,
voted you a lot of money.
Yes, I know. I know. Well, we're going to expand the Nairmore softball complex to a third field. That is in permitting right now. We should get something in return here soon, and hopefully we'll go to construction sometime this winter. Bike park. We just got consensus to move forward on that particular project, which is going to go now in Highland Ridge.
A site has been selected.
Highland Ridge Park. We're going to place that facility there along with a BMX facility there on that same site. So that big open space area there adjacent to that, or incorporated into that property there, will be well used.
Will that be across from the Five Senses Park or in that same locale?
No, it's going to, 5 Senses on Pan American across north of
Yeah.
41. So it's about maybe a mile, mile and a half away.
Oh, Highland. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's right across from Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, now I got you.
Yeah.
I was just a little bit out of... Now we're going to the engineering department. Pat, what's going to happen? What's the good news?
Well, people can expect to see some activity, construction activity out there next year. We have improvements planned next year for roadways, for sidewalks, pedestrian bridges, and we have some more engineering studies happening. As far as roadways are concerned, Sumner Boulevard should start in February of 2007. The project is completely permitted. It's funded. We're in the process right now of finalizing the right-of-way work. Of interest to a lot of folks who live along the corridor between US 41 and Heron Creek Drive. That's the section that's being built. It's little. It's about 1.4 miles. In the bids, we anticipate having 3 alternates for the City Commission's consideration. One alternate will be a noise wall, a second one will be a privacy wall, and the third will be no wall at all. We will probably go out to bid in December, January. We'll have a meeting sometime after the first of the year with the Commission, at which time we'll present what the bid prices are. People who are interested in speaking up about the wall should probably show up at that meeting. That's Sumner Boulevard. Toledo Blade, it's scheduled for next year. We're going to be constructing 2 lanes adjacent to the 2 lanes that are out there. It will start up in March of 2007. It will run from I-75 down to Hillsborough Boulevard. The roadway presently does not include sidewalks and some of the urban design features, although we have designed that with the end in mind. We'll probably be working with Commission to see if we can come up with any additional funding for sidewalks. That's a discussion that's out there. But right now, they are not included in that particular project.
Are sidewalks not included in the abutting developments along the periphery of their...
We've looked at that. Along Toledo Blade, there are already quite a few existing sidewalks there. Sections around Activity Center 5, which is at Price and Toledo Blade, we anticipate the developer, as he moves forward on that project, will put those sidewalks in.
Okay.
But other portions that are already been developed adjacent to the roadway where there are not sidewalks, we're going to try to get those sidewalks put
Okay,
in.
we have a minute to go.
Okay, let me tell you about some of the sidewalk projects we've got going on. We have sidewalk running down Price Boulevard. It's going to be running from Sumner Boulevard all the way down to San Mateo. We'll be putting in pedestrian bridges over the waterway. So the only places that we won't have connectivity, again, is at Activity Center 5. Also, we'll be installing sidewalks one side of the road all the way up Salford Boulevard to the new school that's up there, School H. It's Lamarck is what it's now known as, Lamarck. So we'll also be putting in a pedestrian bridge there over the Snover. Lastly, we have 2 studies that we're going to start, and one of those studies is the Price Boulevard corridor to look at alternatives for Price Boulevard and how might we build that out in the future. And we also have a existing facilities study for the entire city. As you know, the city's 103 square miles. We have 84 miles of canals. We have all different types of services that we offer, from parks and recreation to utilities, etc. And what we're doing in this study is trying to cite where can we put satellite offices that can help us provide a higher level of service.
Well, it sounds like you gentlemen have a very busy year coming up, and it seems that we're really starting to catch up on all this growth. So with that, I'm going to say we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
There's a rumor that small-town America has all but disappeared.
Life is great, Northport.
Northport is the last Mohican. This is the place. This is going to be the last undeveloped region. The city government itself is so pro-growth, and it's just like everything is in the right place at the right time for Northport. They're very open-minded, they're very honest, and they're very fair.
Disappeared? You've just seen evidence to the contrary. We call it Northport.
Welcome back to the final segment of Northport, A View from Here. We have 2 board members of the City of Northport's staff. One is Branford Adumuah, who is from Public Works, and we have Terri Gould from Finance. Welcome to both of you here. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Lori, but it's not. It's Terri. Okay, we're going to start off with Branford, and you're going to follow up to say how we're going to pay for it all.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Branford, you've been charged with a big job in this city. And probably, we have more complaints, not me, but
I know.
the city has more complaints on condition of the roads and so on and so forth. I personally have seen some improvements going on as I ride around the city, sidewalks and new pavings and new patchings and things. Give us a rundown on what we can expect over this year.
Well, what I would like to say is that history is being made in Northport. That for the first time, that we are going to be getting $7.7 million. That is in our operating budget. And then maybe an additional $10 million from exceeded lot money. And that will require that, that will bring in enough that we should be able to rehabilitate more than 100 miles of road. That is really historic.
Over what period of time?
We plan to do all that this fiscal year.
100 miles?
Yes, we plan to do all that.
Does that sound aggressive to you?
Very aggressive, and I think that is the way that we need to go to address the road problem in the city of Northport.
I agree, and you'll make a lot of people happy if you can accomplish that. That's great.
Indeed.
That's great news.
To make our work easier as well.
Yeah, and how was, I remember the last time you were on the program when you came to the new roads, it was really a lot of it was dependent on drainage. Yes. Proper drainage, so you put the road in, it doesn't get washed away or undermined or whatever. Yes. How are we going to do 100 miles of drainage?
Yes,
too?
actually beginning last fiscal year, any road work that we perform, we make sure that we address the drainage issue, which requires the replacement of existing pipes, which are about 50, 40 years old. And then where you have the intersections, Texas swales, where we call Texas swales, that we put in reinforced concrete pipes under them. And in this fiscal year's budget, this fiscal year's road rehabilitation, 30% of the funding will go towards drainage improvement.
Excellent, excellent. How is the rainwater drainage, to keep us from flooding? I remember years ago we had some real problems with serious flooding long before you came back in the 70s and 80s. But I haven't seen a lot of flooding. What are we doing to maintain and control that?
Yes, I think the flooding issue is still there.
In the estates area?
Yes.
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 Primarily.
Yes, because it rained recently, and there was some to some extent, some flooding. But the issue of the flooding is the swales and the canals and the waterways are all connected. And to properly address the issue of drainage, we need to be dredging the swales. We need to be dredging the canals and the waterways, which we are going to be addressing. It's another issue. The road issue is one thing. The drainage issue is another.
Okay. Is there any schedule for that, or any ballpark guess?
Yes. As I speak, you know, what we did was there's a consultant, URS consultant, who is taking a look at the comprehensively stormwater management issues in the city of Northport. They are going to come up with their report, and they are going to identify where the problems are, and then come up with, recommend how we go about funding that. So we are waiting for as I speak, they've begun work, and it's going to take them some time to come up with a report. Then we can properly address the drainage issue.
Okay. And the report that you had gotten on the roads, that was key to getting this underway?
Exactly. I remember when we were spending money to get a report on the roads, many people were wondering why we were spending $450,000 to do that. But we have all the data, and that is what we've been using to schedule and prioritize the roads and determine what needs to be done to the roads to fix them properly.
Yeah. People always, you know, taxpayers always complain about all the outside fees that are paid and everything else, but this is, but your work there is going to be benefit from that study. We have to go to you. We're running out of time already, and we don't want to shortchange you in any way. How is the tax base in Northport today versus 5 years ago, 4 years ago? What kind of growth have we seen in that area?
We've seen substantial growth over the last 2 years. This year we've seen a 68% increase in assessed value, and last year we saw a 65%. I look back to my first year here, and we actually had under $1 billion of assessed value, and now we're at 4.9.
And that's in how many years?
In 4 years.
4 years.
So we've seen a tremendous increase in assessed value.
And that's true throughout Florida, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's definitely the trend throughout Florida right now, especially the West Coast.
Oh, my goodness. And what does that mean for our budget?
Well, it means more revenue coming in from the property taxes, and it means we have an opportunity to lower the millage rate. Of course, with more population and more people and more assessed value, you assume there's more population increases, comes more demands for service. So at some point you have to balance that out to make sure that we're still meeting the demands for service and reducing the tax rate.
So we're still fiscally sound and
yes, we're still fiscally
able
sound.
to hire the new people we need and whatever.
Yes.
And we're going to keep being able to do that for how many years? Because I have to turn it off in a minute here.
Well, I hope we can continue to do that for many years. You know, meet the needs of the citizens of Northport.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And that's it for today. Thank you.